the concept behind it is just... Oh, hey. Well, this is the student in question. I didn't expect... Not many of the students coming to this bar. Kind of surprised to see you here, but if you would like to... I don't really know why I'm... I apologize, I don't really know why I'm talking as if... You know what? Forget it. I will no longer disturb your evening. It's just... What was I saying before? I was actually talking about your essay, funnily enough. Why? Because it was impressive. It was really, really impressive. I was telling these are other lecturers. I don't know if you know them, but I was merely saying that your essay reminded me of an essay that I wrote many, many moons ago. Yeah, well, it's a bit of a long story, but basically, your essay did something that the only other person I've ever heard of getting similar comments is, well, me. Like I say, impressive. Anyway, before I blow your presumably already sizable ego up, why do I think you have an ego? Well, very simple. You wrote an essay that reminded me of my essay, and I have an ego because the only people who would write an essay like that have an ego. If you don't think you have something uniquely interesting to say, you don't write an essay in that style. So, well, anyway, as I said, I should let you go to hang out with your friends, or, whoever it is you're here with. Yeah, but I'm sure I'll catch you in class. At least I would hope so, because otherwise you shall not be learning. Hi again. The other people went home. I'm just enjoying a quiet beer by myself at this point. You're not with friends? Ah. They've gone as well. Well, if you don't mind whiling away the time with your weary professor, then yeah, take a seat. Do I normally drink with students? No. But then you're not a normal student. By which also I'm talking about the essay, and a lot of kids, to be honest with you, go to university, and I understand why. Enjoy the social life. I know I did. It can all get a little bit formulaic, You get essentially the same essays every year, especially nowadays, that you're never even sure if it's written by a person anymore. It used to be that you were worried that someone had paid someone else to write an essay for them online. Now you're worried it's an AI that's written it. And it's getting very hard to prove if people have written things themselves or not. So now it's at a point where, well, sometimes I'm not sure. Some people have actually written an essay themselves through most of their university career, and it's getting quite distressing. Because really, even if you can avoid the AI script getting detected just by editing it, but you've still not written it. You know what I mean? Anyway, the whole point is it feels like parting and plagiarism are perhaps the way a lot of students decide to go. And then I get an essay like yours and it reminds me, damn, there are still curious minds out there just waiting to be pointed to some interesting topics. And in a lot of ways, that's the main thing I'm trying to do. I'm trying to invite curiosity. I'm trying to invite people to think, hey, maybe what I've been told my whole life is wrong, no matter what that might be. Hey, maybe there are other people around who have different opinions to me who can actually say something that will make me reconsider my position. Maybe me and my friends aren't right about everything in the history of the world, and oh boy, that's a hard one to convince people of nowadays. Because everyone's just got their little echo chambers, whether it be at university in their safe spaces, whether that be at home with, they won't listen to any family member who doesn't agree with them, whether that be the internet and whatever websites they choose to go on where everyone agrees with them. It's just depressing that this is what university has become, just another place where genuine debate is stifled in favor of an utter lack of anyone being actually challenged and made to think and consider and learn. Because fun fact, ladies and gentlemen, you don't learn unless you're wrong. But anyway, one of the many pretenses we in the academic circle buy into is the idea that, oh, well, if you studied at a high level, if you have doctorates in this subject, that you naturally are going to have better developed views, and in theory it should be true. The reality is, when I get an essay like yours, it reminds me that there are people in my field who could have all the time in the world, who could read all the books, who could attend all the conferences and have all the qualifications and be published and all these things, and they'll never come up with an argument like that, no matter how long you give them, because they're simply not that good. They're not that smart. They're not that creative. Now, while your essay did, frankly, one, reek of grammatical mistakes that made it look as if it was written the night before, and two, make me rather suspect that you use the old trick of referencing what Wikipedia references. A smile of one creative referencer to another, yeah. Of course I did that. Because I already knew what I wanted to say. I just needed someone to reference. Because references are necessary, because it shows that you've read what other people have to say. Because independent thought is bad. Anyway, the story from back in my uni days. Back in my day. What day is this? Shortly before the last ice age. Anyway. I don't look that old. Well, plastic surgery works wonders these days. It really doesn't. Every time you watch any sort of television award shows and you see these kind of, I don't even know, it looks like they've all broken out in horrible peanut allergies, but in any case. My essay. I remember I got not a particularly good grade, I got B, but before they knew who wrote it, the staff, and they told me this, the staff were essentially referring to the essay, and by proxy me, as sui generis. Not a commonly used term. But sui generis is Latin. The closest direct translation is one-of-a-kind thought. And basically the reason was that in, I think it was 17 years of running that particular course, not one single person had come up with the argument I came up with. And most people, come up with the same kind of 2 or 3 general ways to attack an essay. And I just did something completely and utterly different. Now, quite annoyingly, despite your rather blatant Wikipedia references and grammatical mistakes. I am just too much of a sucker for sui generis style essays to not give you an A. Which means that your essay, in theory, in marking, the most important thing, that your essay did better than mine. But let's face it, we both know my idea was almost certainly better, even if I don't at this point remember what it was. No, all jokes aside, I really do appreciate someone might sound grandiose, but one of the saddest things about academics when you get into it is disappointingly few people can actually intellectually stimulate you. It's a round robin of people saying either the same old thing again and again in very, very slight different ways, or even worse, when the only individuality and new things they bring to the table are so easily undermined to where I believe my 10-year-old nephew could do it. Yes, my nephew is only 10. I think you'll find that the wealth of knowledge I possess may be fooling you into believing I'm older than I really am. You know, as much as I... yes. It's funny talking to you in a bar like this, just talking about work, and it's almost easy to forget that you're a student, and therefore there are, well, things it is inappropriate for a member of staff to talk to a student about. And I really need you to not smile at me like that. Why? Well, very simply, despite the shortcomings of it in some senses, I actually quite like my job and would like to keep it. And so the way you're grinning at me, whatever you may or may not think about academic social skills, and oh yes, there are many colleagues of mine who, well, the word flirtation would need references for them, put it that way. They're not me. I am perfectly aware of why you wanted to sit opposite me and talk to me. I am perfectly aware of why you smile like that and why you're currently smiling like that. Because you find this taboo and therefore fun, exciting, so much more interesting than your mouth-breathing classmates. You see a man of admittedly genuine intelligence, someone who can actually understand when you're saying things that are, with all possible respect, beyond the comprehension of many of your classmates. You see someone who you could really talk to. Which, well, considering that your other options are random chance or Tinder, I can understand that appeal at least, but I'm a professional and there are many rules about this kind of thing, of which I will of course be very strictly adherent to. Because if I were to break those rules, well, to say my head would be on a spike is an understatement. And so, to be even remotely tempted to break those rules, it would not be for a quick, fun fling. It would be because someone is of a genuine interest to me for a long-term engagement. So, with that in mind, I think it's probably best that we keep a conversation to the level of friendliness, don't you? What would happen if you were dating a student who wasn't in your class? It is amusingly presumptive of you to think that the only thing that would stop me is the class. For one, do not think there are other ethical problems here. For two, I think you'll find that me being me, I have choices. So I can't help but wonder why you're so sure, with that grin not having left your face yet, that you would be the one. Well, if I were dating a student not in my class, there would still be many problems for me, and so I think you'll find it would have to be a graduate, or, as I say, someone truly extraordinary. Someone who I believed wasn't just in it for the thrill, the frankly a little cliche taboo of dating their professor. No, it would be someone who I really think is there not because it's a professor, but because it's this one, and because they wanted to be there not only today and tomorrow, but for a long time afterwards. However, it's very hard to believe in that kind of student sometimes, you know. It's rare to find that kind of person, let alone the randomness of one who would be studying at my university, who would be taking my course, who would be so inclined as to be interested, and then they would have to interest me, and for that they would really have to show me one of a kind thought. So I guess, as I'm about to leave, having finished my drink, I will say, there's a little pressure on your next essay, don't you think? with that pleasant thought, I have lectures to prepare. I'll see you there.